I would like to thank the millions of supporters who believed in us.
President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office after winning Nigerians' vote on the promise of change in 2015. Safe to say that the change did not consider recession, but that is what the country was plunged into just as the administration was settling in. Global oil prices, which was at about $64 in June 2015, dipped to $36.68 a barrel by December 2015, lower than the benchmark for the year, which was $38 a barrel. The administration would have to deal with a second round of recession by the third quarter of 2020 with the spread of COVID-19. Economic activities were halted. GDP, which was at about $486 billion, according to the National Bureau of Statistics in 2015, declined to $404 billion in 2016, and the country slipped into recession. The then Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, was constantly in the eye of the storm.
The economy is actually in very, very good hands, and we're doing absolutely our best to get through this difficult period. We have released 74 billion naira to work in 2 months.
In February 2021, the National Bureau of Statistics announced that the country had exited recession with a slight increase of 0.11% to the GDP.
I will rate the government high. And why would I say that? One is response to COVID-19. The second is response to the recession and the crisis of EndSARS protest.
While the economy survived recession, inflation was still embedded. From a single digit of 9.01% in 2015, inflation has increased to 22.22% as at April 2023. And this is in spite of Monetary Policy Committee rates hike.
There's been reduced supplies or reduced production, which has led to increase in prices. So when you look at the bottlenecks, infrastructural bottlenecks in terms of transportation, you also look at the insecurity in most of the farming areas that has compounded the rise in food prices.
As inflation surges, the Naira loses value. Access to foreign exchange becomes more of a struggle, especially for the real sector.
We've gone from 2015, where we started the year with 150 Naira at the time. 2016, we entered the 360 Naira to $1 period. And between 2016 and now, we're talking about 750 Naira to the dollar.
We assess our foreign needs through the parallel market, which rose between 750, sometimes 780, sometimes 730. That in itself is killing.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has over time sought diverse ways to boost FX supply for businesses and individuals, one of which is the RT200 program, which the CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, says brought export proceeds repatriation into the country up by 40% to $5.6 billion in 2022. The CBN also took other steps deemed necessary to stabilize supply and prices.
The central bank will henceforth discontinue the sale of foreign exchange to bureau d'echange operators. B, the bank will no longer process or issue new licenses for BDC operations in the country.
Unfortunately, the supply and price of FX continue to elude solution as multiple windows continue to exist. The value of the Naira against the dollar continues to deteriorate. The existence of multiple windows for the dollar, among other issues, have built conversations around harmonizing monetary and fiscal policies.
This administration will continue to ensure that our fiscal policies are supported by a robust and contemporary monetary policy that recognizes our peculiarities in the midst of the growing global economic difficulties.
In the face of this, borrowing increased as public debt, which was about 12.6 trillion naira in 2015, had surpassed 27 trillion naira in 2019 and is projected to hit 77 trillion naira by June 2023.
By the end of the year, my estimation is that the debt profile will get to around 80 trillion. That is massive, and that will be it's extremely difficult to manage. We would begin to see a departure.
The debts may continue to increase, with fuel subsidy payment between 2015 and 2021 hitting 13 trillion naira, according to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Although the federal government had announced the end of payment by June 2023, based on the 2023 budget provision, the plan has been put on hold in spite of a planned loan of $800 million from the World Bank. Another policy which the Buhari administration will be remembered for is the Naira redesign. It seems more Nigerians will remember the frustration to access their funds, which in some cases turned violent. This may be what will give a final impression to the performance of the Buhari administration. As the Bola Tinubu's administration comes on board with a promise of renewed hope, it's not a clean slate, as there are important decisions to be made. Removal of subsidy, debt burden of about 77 trillion naira, debt service to revenue ratio surpassing 80%, and running inflation. Nigerians will be watching and hoping that the right decisions are taken to put the economy on the path of growth. Ini John Mekwa, Channels Television News.